Welcome to Her Lights, your home for women's sports coverage. I'm your host, Erin Foley, a stand-up comic, TV writer, and most important, an obsessed sports fan. I break down the best games, highlight the best stories, and interview the best from the world of women's sports. So put on your jerseys, stretch out your hammies, and let's do this. Hello, Herlighters. It's Erin Foley back in the booth talking women's sports. Happy Monday. I hope you had an absolutely fantastic weekend. I know it was loaded with, everyone was talking NFL playoffs. Great. They were fun. But let me just tell you, the amount of women's sports that was going on in these last 3 days alone, plus stories from last week, we have so much to cover. So let's get into it. I did a deep dive, absolutely loved every single minute of this. I watched the U.S. Figure Skating Championships, the lead up to the Olympics. Oh my God. Now, I know a lot of you know me. I have a hard time watching figure skating because I get emotionally attached to these women and to the men, but it's a women's sports podcast. Let's focus on the women because I just think, oh my God, like they've trained their entire lives. And if they have one slip up, they don't medal. And it's just so stressful. I guess you could say that about most Olympic events, but there's something that makes me the most anxious, and that is women's figure skating. And these three women who are going to the Olympics absolutely crushed it during the championships. Amber Glenn takes first place, Alysa Liu takes second place, and Isabeau Levito takes third place. Now, these women are so absolutely fantastic. Glenn is like a powerhouse, and Liu and Levito are more stylistic flow, sort of like this beauty iconic figure skating. But Glenn's my favorite because she just takes to the ice and lets it rip. And I think she has, both Liu and Glenn have a legitimate chance of medaling at the Olympics. I think Levito's the dark horse. But let me just tell you this. Here's a fun fact that I didn't even realize this. The U.S. women are trying to end a 20-year Olympic medal drought, okay? The last American to medal was Sasha Cohen, silver medal in 2006. It's even been longer since we took a gold medal. The last gold medal in figure skating came in 2002 when Sarah Hughes won in Salt Lake City. So we have an enormous drought, and I'm telling you, for me, it's all eyes on Glenn. I really think she can take it. This is the first woman to win 3 straight national titles. The last one to do that back to back to back was Michelle Kwan. And we know, obviously, the storybook, amazing career of Michelle Kwan. So I'm super fired up for our figure skating. Also, these women so Liu and Levito stayed around after their skate was done to cheer on Glenn, which is like unheard of. They're all hugging each other. There's so much team camaraderie. I love these women. It's so feel good. And it just gets me like even more excited for the Olympics, which are right around the corner, February 6th. This is it. We've got all these championships and rosters being announced in the next couple weeks. So it's very, very exciting. And speaking of which, Canada announced their lineup for the Olympic women's hockey team. And all 23 players are currently playing in the PWHL. I mean, their talent is loaded. Emily Clark, Sarah Fillier, Sarah Nurse, Kristen O'Neill, the captain, Marie-Philippe Pilon, which is a name I just absolutely nailed. She's going on her 5th Olympics. Laura Stacey, her partner in real life and her partner on the line. I mean, that is an incredibly fantastic story. Natalie Spooner. So a lot of veteran leadership, and it's going to be, listen, the roster is loaded, but so is ours, the USA. This is my favorite sport in the Winter Olympics. And as I discussed last week, the USA squad has a lot of youth. There's, 11 or 12 players that weren't even on the Olympic roster last time. So we're adding, there's heated rivalry, but this is bitter rivalry. So I'm super fired up. Obviously, if I wasn't cheering for US, the Canada roster is just insane. A lot of these players on their roster are some of my favorite players to watch in the PWHL. So with that being said, we need to beat them. I can't wait. Let's do this. Okay, PWHL, we're going to stay on the ice. One of my favorite things the PWHL did last year was the Takeover Tour, where they would go to neutral sites all over America and Canada and bring the game to all these fantastic cities that obviously don't have a women's hockey team as they are expanding exponentially in the off season. This off season, we saw two new teams in Seattle and Vancouver. So Sunday, yesterday, they played in Halifax and they played in Quebec City. Two huge crowds. It was so feel good. So yesterday in Halifax, Ottawa Charge beat the Boston Fleet 2-1 in a shootout. Fantastic game, sold out crowd, over 10,000 people in Scotiabank Center in Halifax. I did comedy. I did a couple comedy festivals in Halifax. I was lucky enough to get there. It is the most charming, beautiful. I love Halifax so much, and it would be amazing as the PWHL expands to get a team in Halifax. It's if you haven't gone visit it, it's just absolutely wonderful, and obviously they're hockey obsessed. The other game was in Quebec City, a city I've yet to see, which I'm dying to see. The Montreal Victoire beat the Vancouver Golden Eyes 1-0. Again, 14,624 fans, one of the biggest crowds for a takeover tour. Just so fun to see the enthusiasm wherever these teams go in a neutral site. Just the fans all over Canada bringing it and the fans all over the US bringing it. So keep your eye on the Takeover Tour and get your tickets and go see these games because they're really incredible. Rounding out, I don't know, cold weather sports, huge congratulations to Lindsey Vonn over the weekend. Another huge win leading up to the Olympics. I mean, this comeback tour she's on, this is the fourth podium she's been on in four races, has been absolutely incredible. And I know everyone harps on her age because she's 41, which everyone talks about like she's 81. But titanium knees, and she's just crushing it. And it's such a feel-good storyline leading into the Olympics. And as we say, congratulations to Lindsey Vonn. Unfortunately, it's a big get well soon to Chloe Kim, who is our phenomenal, Olympic half-pipe snowboarder, back-to-back gold medals, a true superstar. She took a really, like what she considered, quote, a silly fall last week. She dislocated her shoulder. So, we haven't had the results of the MRI. We'll keep you posted, but man, if she can't bounce back and make this Olympic roster in time, I'm going to be honestly heartbroken. So all good thoughts, everybody. Keep thoughts and prayers to Chloe Kim that she can heal super fast and get back in time for the February games. Okay, heating up on the basketball court. See what I did there? Love it. I love a good transition. The WNBA, this isn't great news. I'm not going to lie. We sort of knew this was coming, but on Friday, the WNBA and the Women's National Basketball Players Association did not reach a new collective bargaining agreement by the Friday night deadline. We knew this was coming, but it's still hard to hear, hard to read about. So the league has entered a status quo period. That's what they're calling a status quo period, where the old CBA terms are technically remain in effect, but at any point in time, there could be a strike, there could be a lockout. So the lockout meaning that would come from the WNBA, the league would issue a lockout. I don't think that's going to happen. But I think more likely, possibly, the WNBA Players Association could issue a strike. The players have already signed off on a strike, but we're really hoping they can still, I mean, they're still negotiating. Man, I do not want a work stoppage. This is going to be so bad for the league, so bad for the players, so bad for the fans, everything. So anyway, I'm really hoping, obviously, they can come to an agreement. In the meantime, the WNBA Players Association has begun setting up player hubs to get through this time period, okay? They're like designated training and recovery facilities in the US and abroad. So the players can keep active and keep working and keep being in shape because, at any point in time, if a deal is made, boom, the league they're going to start. And there's so many things that need to be done ahead of time with contracts and free agency. So obviously we're on the clock here, but if the players obviously going to keep training in these facilities or through Unrivaled or whatever the league they're in playing now. So, yeah, just really hoping this gets done because we need a season, we need a league. So right now, let's shift gears. So we're hoping for obviously a new contract, but in the meantime, Unrivaled Hoops fans, if you are not watching Unrivaled, get on board. They're on ESPN, the games are on True TV, TNT. Over the weekend, here's a really fun story. Kelsey Plum dominating on Saturday, right? She tied an unrivaled single game scoring record, dropping 38 points, 16 of 22 shooting, 11 assists, 8 rebounds, and Phantom's 94-60 win over Lunar Owls. Just vintage Plum, just rocking it on the court. It was so fun to see. Then the next day, her Sparks teammate, Dearica Hamby, is like, not so fast, Hot Pants. She drops in 40 and captures the single game scoring record all by herself out of Plum's hands. Becomes the first player in unrivaled history to drop 40 points in a game, 10 rebounds, 2 assists. Vinyl BC beats the Hive 89-66. And Chelsea Gray also tearing it up for Rose BC, hits back-to-back three-pointers to win the game 69-67 over Vinyl, ends with 23 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Point God on the floor. She's so fun to watch. Watch Unrivaled, get into it. Rounding it out, college hoops. Upsets, fantastic action every week. I'm like, well, that week can't top that week. And it does. Minnesota stuns USC 63-62. Ohio State stuns Maryland 89-76. LSU, number 12 at the time, knocks off Texas. I watched that game. I'm telling you, LSU had their number from the start. And in the second half, Texas, number 2 in the league, kept mounting these comebacks, right? They get in within maybe 5 or 6 points. Boom, LSU would slam the door. Stifling defense. Michaela Williams, 20 points. Just a bunch of late defensive stops, just well deserved by LSU. And from last week, if you remember, they were on a 2-game losing skid, out of the top 10. And boy, did they right the ship. So Texas has got some figuring out to do, and LSU rebounded, pardon the pun, with a huge, huge win. UConn still dominating its run over Creighton by 40 points. And I'm going to say this about UConn. Obviously, they're number 1, they're undefeated. But when you look, and we'll do a deeper dive this week about UConn's schedule, I have to fact check this, but I counted it up. I think they throughout their entire season, they'll have played maybe 5 or 6 ranked teams. Not their fault. Their conference is just, their teams are just not great. And I don't know. I said this last year and they won the whole thing, but I'm just saying you've got SEC teams, Big 10 teams, Big 12 teams having multiple games per week of the highest quality games against ranked opponents, and UConn does not have that, and they won't have that entire season. So, will that hurt them into their March run? Then again, it's UConn, and they always win, so we'll see. Couple last games, Notre Dame beating North Carolina, getting themselves back into the top 25, and Kentucky upsets Oklahoma. It wasn't a huge upset. Kentucky was 6, Oklahoma was 5, but that was a really, really fun game. Keep your eyes out for Kentucky and Oklahoma because I don't want to play either of those teams into March. Okay, so rounding this out, we've got a new top 10. UConn unanimous 17-0. I would still say asterisk, they're not being challenged. South Carolina number 2, UCLA 3, Texas slides to 4, Vanderbilt moves up to 5, LSU back in the top 10, number 6, then Kentucky, Michigan, Louisville, and TCU. So a shake-up again in the top 10 and into the top 20. If you are a fan of basketball, here's the game to watch this Thursday, January 15th. Texas plays South Carolina. So what a week for Texas. And every team in the SEC and Big 10, Big 12 have had these weeks where you're like doubling up against ranked opponents. So this is going to be a phenomenal game. Texas at South Carolina, 7 p.m. Central Time on ESPN2. Will South Carolina, continue to win, hold that number 2 slot, or does Texas bounce back? A huge challenge for both teams. That is the game of the week. And that is our show, people. Just watch everything because it's just so fun and I can't stop watching. Fans, friends, family, have the best week of your life.